What spell draws the most hate in Commander, causing everyone to instantly turn on you?
Well, that's easy, Domia.
Yeah, basically. You're never going to play the same game of Magic twice.
Well, if it is, it's probably because you're cheating like Steven Speck.
Oh, man.
Hello, Magic players. Welcome to the Wake the Dead podcast, your weekly Magic the Gathering podcast brought to you by MTG Mind Games. Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel for weekly Magic-related content, news, deck techs, and pack openings. I'm your host, Scott, and with me tonight is my co-host, Evan. Evan, what's up, man?
Finally figuring out how to use Twitter. Woo!
Welcome to the modern age.
Right.
All right, so today's a pretty light day, or it's been a light week. We finally got information or news on what's going to happen to our cheaters at our recent Pro Tour. So,
yeah,
what do you think about that?
I'm pretty okay with it, honestly.
Yeah,
I think the suspensions handed down were all right.
Yeah, nothing too harsh or too light or anything like that.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of people in the community seem to be upset that Steven Speck only got a 3-year suspension, but. Like, that's 3 years. Like, I'm not a tournament player, but for tournament players out there who are saying this is too late, can you imagine not getting to play in your tournaments for 3 years?
Right. Exactly.
Like, that's a big punishment.
Exactly.
That's like NFL players don't even see that. And
they get paid millions of dollars.
They get paid millions of dollars to do do what they do. I mean, 3 years. I think that's fine.
Yeah. In the grand scheme of things, 3 years really is in the new format, or the way sets are going to be coming out. 3 years is looking at like 6, maybe 8 sets that we're going to see these guys are going to miss. They're not going to be able to play competitively with.
Yeah.
They're probably, no one can stop them from buying cards. Of course they're going to buy cards, or at least Steven is. But I don't know, man. So if you haven't heard yet, Steven Speck was caught cheating at Pro Tour Dragons of Tarkir. He was the guy who was playing. Do you remember what deck he was playing? It was like Amulet Bloom.
I do not remember, but I can look it up.
It was something like that. But he was caught cheating where he would start every game with a perfect hand, and which gave him a huge upside to all of his games, even if it wasn't game 2 or game 3. Winning that first game and then having the option of just winning the next 2 games in order to get you to your top 8 or whatever. That's a huge cheat. And I've heard all kinds of different things from YouTubers saying like different things about it to just people down at the shop talking about it. 3 years, perfectly fine with that. If the guy does it again, then I could imagine that would become a more recurring cheats are always more punishable. Let's talk about Felipe Valdivia. I watched this one happen because I stayed up and watched the Pro Tour happen. When this was happening, I saw it and I was freaking out, dude. I was like, dude, Twitch chat is disabled because I was watching it from my computer, and it's like no one caught it. The commenters or commentators didn't say anything. Like, it was blatant, straight up. He just picks up his Temple of Deceit as the guy passes his turn, like untaps it, flips it over, grabs it and puts it in his hand, and just keeps going. He has judges next to him. He acts like he had just revealed it or searched his library for it and had it on the table, and then picks it up and just keeps going and proceeds to win, and his opponent's just okay with it. Nothing looked weird, but if you were watching the video, it looked terrible. It was straight like cheater status. So
it appears as though Steven Speck was playing Amulet Bloom from what I can see.
Okay, yeah.
As far as what Felipe did, like I wasn't watching it. I haven't seen the video of it, but I saw on the internet somebody had like put the pictures of what happened in succession.
Uh-huh.
Like, oh, we played this card and then this card and then this card, and then if you see right here, he's picking up the card.
Yeah.
And like just looking at those, I was like, are you like, you realize there's a camera above you?
I know,
right?
Right.
Did you not think this was going to be noticed, or?
I think the best thing I saw was someone commented on the YouTube that on the YouTube channel for Magic, they had it posted of that specific highlight, and someone in the comments was all, "It's okay, he's playing that new land. Don't you guys know that this like Temple of Deceit enters the battlefield and then you return it to your hand so you can play it again?" Like, it's deceitful. That's so demure. I
That's
love it, man. I mean, I'm laughing about it and, that kind of stuff. It is terrible, yes, okay. But it's hilarious that someone would think that they can get away with this. Like, come on.
yeah.
It's 2015. We got good cameras now. Like,
It's one
maybe,
thing. It's one thing if you're trying to get away with it at at an LGS or something.
yeah,
Just with a bunch of people sitting around. Look, you're probably going to get away with that. I'm not saying you should. I don't condone cheating in any
yeah,
way,
yeah.
but don't do it with cameras watching you from multiple angles.
And that's what I find funny about it. Like, that this guy thought he would get away with it. And I guess some people just are that ingrained to cheat that they just don't even think, oh, the camera's watching me. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
unfortunate for everyone that lost to him and how he affected the standings and things like that. Maybe games would have been completely different. Maybe we would have actually had a completely different Pro Tour champion. But yeah, it's crazy. The cheaters came out of the woodwork this time. So
It's gonna happen from time to
yeah,
time.
yeah. All right, next up, let's talk about Modern Masters. We had some new cards spoiled, and actually, we had a little bit of controversy happen within the past few days about cards being spoiled on MTG Salvation and Mythic Spoiler taking over and posting them on their site as well. Um, if you haven't heard, we had some spoilers come out from what people are calling a reputable source on MTG Salvation, that they spoiled cards last Modern Masters, and that they were correct when on the cards that they had spoiled, they had pictures to back it up. And now they're saying that this guy came out and he listed off dude, this is like a dream list of all the cards
Yeah.
everyone wants to see. I'm sure a lot of them are going to be in there, but he's saying certain things are mythic, certain things are rare. That does change prices, and people the speculative secondary market is going to change their pricing based off of things like this. So they spoiled a bunch more this time, and several of them have actually just recently been proven false. Well, not necessarily several. One in particular, his original claim was that Splinter Twin was going to be a mythic, and everyone was freaking out because there's only so many mythic spots. And turns out that Wizards of the Coast came out and said that Skott and Splinter Twin will be at rare. So how do we feel about this? Like, how are we supposed to feel
Now the Wizards of the Coast spoiling that came out after.
after?
I kind of feel like that might be Wizards' way of saying, "Hey, don't listen to him."
Yeah,
Like I feel like if you're sure he ended up being right last time. That's one thing. Sometimes people get some information. This kind of feels like he might have just been looking to get that attention again.
yeah,
By spoiling things at the wrong rarity and then having Wizards go, no, look, he's wrong. Like that. Honestly, I don't think I could believe anything in his list at that point.
yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, I mean, what we're talking about now is it's actually up still on Mythic Spoiler. As of recording this, we can still see. I'll just rattle off some of the cards here. We had, obviously we had Emrakul, Karn, Tarmogoyf already spoiled. Vanillion Click's been spoiled and officially out there. And then, of course, Etched Champion. Now we have Skott coming into the mix and Splinter Twin. Those are all the official spoils. The rest of these were not officially spoiled, but they are definitely a pipe dream, and they do kind of fit in line with what we all want. Those being Kozilek, Butcher of Truth, Ulamog, the Infinite Gyre, All is Dust, Elishnorn, which kind of lends to what we were saying about how you were saying that people were speculating that the Praetors would be in this cycle, or the cycle of Praetors would be there. And then we have things like Tezzeret the Seeker and Dark Confidant back, Iona, Shield of Emeria, Goblin Guide, Noble Hierarch, And then we have the command cycle. Austere Command, Cryptic Command, Profane Command, Incendiary Command, Primal Command, and Fulminator Mage and Mox Opal. Now, personally, the only card I really care about in this list that really impacts the secondary market is Noble Hierarch and Fulminator Mage. The rest of those, I mean, Elesh Norn gets played in EDH, maybe reanimated in some modern decks, but usually people, if they're reanimating anything, they're going to be reanimating Griselbrand. The rest of the cycle for the Eldrazi, you know, we want to see that. Obviously, if we see Emrakul, we want to see the rest of them.
Yeah.
But how do you feel about just in general that list? I mean,
that list is pretty cool for me because I didn't, especially with the commands in there, because I didn't play at that time.
Yeah.
So having the opportunity to get some of those cards without just going out and buying them, because I think just going out and buying individual cards is boring to me.
Yeah.
I would rather have the opportunity to open them because it's more fun.
Yeah.
So it's kind of neat to have even the thought of having the opportunity to get some of those things out of a pack. But just because I don't know if it's gonna be, if those are actually anything that's gonna be in here, it's kind of hard to. I don't want to get my hopes up and then be let down when I'm not able to get a Cryptic Command out of it.
Exactly. Well, see, Cryptic Command. My thing is Cryptic Command was in the last one, and they know Cryptic Command is such a sought after card, especially by blue mages. Like, you got to have a Cryptic Command in your EDH deck, dude. Like,
I don't.
You
Just don't.
You got it. I mean, now, see, the thing is, I like this list. I think that a lot of these cards will most likely be on there. I don't know how I feel about Tezzeret the Seeker. I mean, if they end up coming out and saying Tezzeret the Seeker's in there, we played during Shards, so I guess I'm kind of biased with not being too excited about seeing Shards Planeswalkers in there.
Yeah.
What I would like to see is more of like Tamiyo, because Tamiyo is like a $17, $18 Planeswalker. Just on average, just some of the stuff from Avacyn Restored, a lot of these third sets that didn't see a lot of printing, or maybe people didn't have their hands on them. Obviously, all the Praetors will be nice, because I do feel the Praetors will be in there. People were saying that some of the mythics from Red are kind of lackluster, and I think one of the cards that needs to be in there is Urabrask the Hidden, because personally, as a cube player and as a cube player and a commander player, Urabrask only had the one printing, and I really like that card a lot. I like the art. I like everything that it has to offer for Red. So, I mean, Goblin Guide's great and all, but I'm more so that Timmy wanting my Urabrask out of Modern Masters.
Don't even know what Urabrask is or even how to spell it to look it up.
Urabrask. All right, we can edit that out. Urabrask is Urabrask. Urabrask.
Urabrask the Hidden.
Yeah. He looks like a predator or something like that, or not
Creatures
predator.
you control have haste. Creatures your opponents control. Okay, that's pretty badass.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. Like, for red, that is great. Like, and it's not overcosted, so.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, I'd be pretty excited to see the Praetors in there, because I don't know.
Oh yeah.
I don't know them.
Yep.
Like, at all.
I'm kind of scared about that if you get your hands on the blue one, because you never knew about the blue one.
Uh-oh.
Oh man.
Oh,
yeah.
there.
The blue Praetor. He's no bueno.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, he shuts down the game.
Oh man.
Yep.
Yeah, so Damian needs one of those.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's dirty.
Yeah.
Love it.
All right. So obviously we'll get more spoilers for Modern Masters as the weeks roll out, and we'll definitely make sure we keep talking about them for everyone. There's all kinds of podcasts out there that are going to do set reviews and all this different stuff. I don't feel that we'll do a set review. We most likely are just going to talk about the rares, or if there's a common or uncommon that really stands out to us that's cool, or that we're happy to see.
New packaging.
What's up?
Or this pretty cool new packaging.
Oh yeah, the eco-friendly packaging.
100% recyclable.
Yeah, they have to do it. They're expecting over 10,000 people to be playing just at Vegas. Like,
So the only thing I'd be worried about with the packs is how they're lined inside.
Yeah.
Just because I don't know, like, I'm sure since they're trying to be, 100% recyclable with this, obviously the cards aren't going to be wrapped in plastic inside.
Nope. No
Like,
plastic.
how are they lined? What's keeping the cards from getting scratched?
Well, okay, so I had a concern about that too. A couple things is that I don't think that they'll have any kind of lining on the inside. As long as they keep it like a nice recyclable paper, I don't think that they'll get scratched in any way. Um, Now, as far as like packaging wise, they will have to have a nice firm fit because otherwise, if they're like in a box, like loose, floating around, air gets in there, condensation. Like I know these are cardboard and they should be quote unquote dry, but condensation will still get in there if they're not sealed with like what the foil wrapping or these sealed packaging that they
Yeah,
normally come in. So I'm worried about foils. Modern
yeah.
Masters 1 had foils in every single pack, and Modern Masters 2 will have a foil in every pack as well. On the Wizards website, it says every box in Modern Masters 2015 edition contains 24 booster packs, each with 15 randomly inserted game cards, including one premium card in every pack. So
Hmm.
when you get your box, you're guaranteed these foils. I don't think a cardboard, little box is gonna keep a foil from warping. So I'm really afraid that these are gonna warp before people even get a chance to open them, or even or how that's going to affect them in the long term for people that don't want to open their boxes.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
don't know. We'll see. Hopefully Wizards is thinking about things like that and addressing it properly.
I mean yes, I mean we can all hope. We all know though their track record for some of these foils is not very good. Look at the From the Vault sets and how those foils just warp like like they want to be cigarettes, like rolled up cigarettes or something.
Yeah.
They warp so bad, dude. It's terrible.
We'll see.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on. Let's move on to our card of the week. We each have a card of the week. Evan, do you want to lead off this one?
Sure. So my card's going back to our high school days. It's a little throwback here. Back to Urza's Destiny. A little card with Urza in the name, Urza's Incubator.
Nice. Yeah.
For those of you who don't know what this is, it's an artifact. It does cost 3 colorless mana. It reads, when Urza's Incubator comes into play, choose a creature type. Creature spells of the chosen type cost 2 colorless mana less to play. Now, I used to use this card a lot. I actually had a playset in my Angel deck just because Angels are so expensive. Like, that was basically the only thing that made them playable was getting at least one Incubator out early.
Yep.
But as Scott learned this weekend,
Yeah.
there is a much nastier way to use it, and that's in Tiny Leader with my Alicia Who Smiles at Death deck.
Mm-hmm.
When I started dropping warriors for 1 mana, and all of a sudden the board was just overloaded, and there was nothing anybody could do about it.
Yep.
Uh,
Because I was running Ragnar at the time, which
yes.
I have not yet done my Ragnar deck tech. I will get to it eventually, but the Ragnar is basically Voltron, and I'm not running a bunch of little creatures out there. You are basically swarming the board with a bunch of little dudes, and I just can't handle it, man. I can't do it.
I
So,
straight up swarmed it, and the only thing that kept you guys alive as long as you stayed alive
mhm.
was the fact that my Chief of the Edge got killed off like
Yep,
immediately,
yep,
so everybody was 1 damage less than they should have been.
yeah,
Otherwise, there was not a single thing you guys could have done. But I know, like, even with that deck, like I think it would be okay without the Incubator.
yeah. I mean,
But Incubator just takes everything, as long as if you're running any kind of tribal
yeah,
at all, which is not hard to do anymore because everything's like human warrior,
yeah.
human wizard, human this, human that. Like
Everything's
it's
dual
so
type now.
easy. Yeah, it's so easy to run a tribal deck at this point that if you're tribal at all, even like I don't know, 75% of the creatures in your deck,
Hmm.
there's no reason to not have an Incubator in there.
It's true.
Like
It's true.
you might as well because you know what's in your deck. You know what needs to cost less.
Yeah.
Dragons. Think about playing dragons for 2 mana less.
Yep.
Most people aren't going to know about that card because it's from Urza's Destiny. That card's
Yeah.
what like 15 years old at this point.
Yeah. Okay, so I just want to clarify for everyone because you're saying you guys like normally, tiny commander, tiny leader would be a 1v1 format. We just happen to have three people
Yeah,
playing, so we were like, just trying to kill some time, and we all wanted to play our tiny leader deck, so we all just made a three-person free-for-all tiny leader game. That is probably why it got so out of hand too, because
probably.
because you have to worry about more than one person, so your removal is split between two different people, and you got Evan over here dropping like warrior after warrior after warrior, and then what? Alicia, you can just play, or Alicia, you can play her for like a single red. Okay, cool. Like, oh my god. Oh, I,
No,
I kill her. Oh well, I'm gonna just pay her for three. Like,
yeah, her original cost is. I don't
yeah.
know though. It seemed like I mean you might have done a couple things to
I wasn't
Josh,
doing a lot. I wasn't doing a
but
lot.
Josh was completely focused on me.
Mm-hmm.
I I don't know. Even 1v1, I don't think there's anything anybody. Well, at least the decks that were in play and
Yeah.
the draws that you guys had, I don't think there's anything either of those decks could have done against it.
Yeah, our decks were not red based, so we didn't
They
have
were not
pyroclasm.
prepared.
We weren't black based, so we didn't have any kind of any infest or anything like that. Like any of the main like board wipes for this. The only thing my deck was running at the time was Oblivion Stone. I just didn't draw my Oblivion Stone,
Yeah.
so I mean it is what it is. You can't win them all. But I did successfully get a Jace Bellerin Ultimate off on that game, and that was fun. Like
Yeah.
that made me very happy about that.
You got the Jace Ultimate off on me. I ate the 20 card mill, and then I'm pretty sure I shoved a couple of those creatures down your throat with Alicia.
Yeah, pretty much because I made you mill creatures, you reanimated some of them. I didn't realize that's what Alicia did, so I was just like,
Yep.
oh, I'm an idiot.
Oh, thanks for putting five more creatures in my graveyard. I'm gonna pay four and shove two of them down your throat.
Yep, pretty much. Oh god. All right, so so yeah, Urza's Incubator, pretty cool. A lot of people look for cards in EDH and Commander and Cube even. This is a pretty good Cube card because
Great
if you're
cube card.
playing like Merfolk or Goblins or Beasts or something in Cube, this fits any of those decks. So this is definitely one of those like first pickables if you know you're going to be playing Tribal. And then same if you're just playing if you're playing EDH with your friends or whatever, most EDH decks are going to have some kind of, if you're picking a certain color to have your creatures be, even if they're dual color, most of those creatures, if any of your creatures are from a certain guild, most guilds tend to have, like the Wizard Guild, and then there's the Beast or Berserker Guild or whatever. So yeah, so Urza's Incubator is a pretty solid pick. It has been growing ever since. Let's see. MTG Stocks has it growing as of December of 2013. It's steadily been just going up and up and up. It hasn't come down, and it's at like 950 now.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's at 950. It's at an all-time high. Its all-time low was like 650, like 660. So, and that was around like September 2012. So, but that was a pretty of like a huge lull for a lot of cards like this. Formats come out and cards get more expensive because of the format they're being played in. And I feel like after 2015 after M15 came out, tiny leaders kind of took off with cons coming out, and that's when it went up to like $8 because obviously everyone sees this card's 3 mana cost and it lowers creature types. So I feel like tiny leaders definitely pushed this one into that $8 to $9 range. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, so my pick of the week is also a tiny leader card. Mine has a little more applications outside of tiny leader. It's Oblivion Stone, printed originally in Mirrodin and also printed in the Commander set. It says it's sitting around 1260 or 1270 as a TCG mid. Oblivion Stone's great for any tiny leader deck, and actually I like it because it can go in any tiny leader deck as a nice wrath effect for the entire board. And any recursion for artifacts or things like that. This thing will also allow you to keep your big bomb by putting a fate counter on the one or two things that you want to keep, and then blowing up the board, and you still have those things. So Oblivion Stone, even though it's at its 1250 price tag, because it does get played in Tron, I feel like Oblivion Stone is still one of those cards that if you ever see them in binders, you pick them up. It could easily be, with its just 2 printings in Modern, it could easily be $20, $25, and $12 is not that bad for this card. We had a similar type of card in Perilous Vault recently get printed. Perilous Vault is the same deal, except Perilous Vault is going to exile everything, so you have no choice to keep anything with Perilous Vault. With Oblivion Stone, you get to put a fate counter on something and keep that. So I've seen Tron lists play Perilous Vault and Oblivion Stone, but definitely Oblivion Stone is good because it's multi-format, flexible in being in Tiny Leader, Commander, and all these different sets. So that's definitely my pick of the week.
Oblivion Stone's a pretty cool card. I remember playing around that time. I played a lot of Mirrodin, and that was one of the cards where every time I saw it in draft, it immediately went into my deck. Every time I got one in a pack, it immediately went into a deck somewhere. Nobody liked seeing it hit the board ever. If you could find ways to untap it during a turn, people would just get even more and more upset the more fate counters you put on your stuff. And as they were not drawing any kind of answers to it, and they were watching fate counters sit on every single one of your permanents, they were just like, "Why?
Yeah.
No, where's my answer?"
Yep.
I know, because I used to run one in Leveler back in the day.
Yeah.
So I used to, just for fun sometimes, I would take a bunch of turns, as many turns as I wanted, put fate counters on all of my stuff, and then just wipe the board of everybody else's stuff and just let them play.
Yeah.
Just to see what they might do.
Yep.
It's also one of those things that you can, once you get a bunch of fate counters in your stuff, you can kind of just, stack 5 lands on top of it.
Oh, yeah.
And just say, okay, go ahead. Play.
Do anything. See what happens.
Just don't target me, and we're all good.
Yep. All right. So I just want to let everyone know that this is going to be our first episode on that we're going to be putting up on MTG Cast. We're excited to bring these episodes to our listeners via MTG Cast and through iTunes and RSS feed. So those who have been asking for a way to listen to us outside of YouTube, we'll finally be able to bring our podcast to you guys on different platforms. I understand, it drains your battery, so we don't want everyone to, have to expend their battery just to listen to, us ramble for an hour and a half. Like, we do want you to listen. We appreciate all of our listeners, and we love everybody. Like, this is cool that this is all happening so quickly. But yeah, we definitely want to get these episodes out to you guys through more casual and normal means through iTunes and RSS feed and stuff like that. So MTG Cast is going to help us do that, and we're happy to be part of the team there, helping that community grow. And definitely check out different podcasts that they have. That's actually what kind of got me started on the whole wanting to podcast thing, just listening in on Monday Night Magic and the Mana Pool and Chewy and all the guys, and like Tap and Sack. All those guys, they're cool. They all bring all kinds of different information. They're all Magic players, and that's what it's all about. So we'll definitely post links when we have episodes up on the Facebook community that we have, and through MTG Mind Games, the YouTube channel, that will still continue to post our episodes there, and on Twitter as well. So Evan, do you have any non-Magic related news or anything to talk about?
Well, I do just want to point out that I don't know how many listeners follow football, but tomorrow is actually the start of the NFL draft. And I just have to say, if the Buccaneers draft Jameis Winston, I am going to be thoroughly disappointed at them, because that is not the answer to any of the problems in Tampa Bay. That's all I have to say.
I have no idea what you just said, because I don't even listen to sports. But I support you.
Let's see. Apparently, we are in the minority of people who think that the punishments handed down were fair.
Really?
Yeah. I'm getting Tom Martell. I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
But he is advocating for lifetime bans for practiced mechanical cheats, not heat of moment bad judgment.
Wow.
So that would be a lifetime ban for Steven, and probably still a 6-month suspension for Felipe. Okay. Brian David Marshall seems to agree with him.
Yeah, okay. Going back to the suspensions from the Pro Tour. Okay, I can kind of see what they're talking about. If it's a practice cheat, it's something that you're good at. What's that movie where they practice cheating at gambling and then they end up going to Vegas and winning a bunch of money?
Talking about 21,
I think so.
where they play blackjack with Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, it's with Kevin
Yeah,
Spacey.
21.
So, yeah, I could see in that kind of a light because it's preemptive, it's thought about, they knew they were going to do it. And a lot of people, instead of it just being out of desperation to get the win, because I feel like that's what a lot of cheaters end up doing it for. And unfortunately, some people are just so good at cheating that they'll just think like, there's all these different avenues to cheat. Let me just pick one at the time that I can kind of take. And for this guy, Steven Speck, I would assume that having the perfect hand every time, that's something even more preemptive, like a sleight of hand, that's even worse than the desperation cheats. So I can kind of side with them a little bit on that, but I still feel 3 years is a long time.
I think it depends on like if it's something that you're continuing to do. Like 3 years is a very long time.
Yeah.
It's long enough to teach most people a lesson. If you were to come back and do it again, obviously that's a lifetime ban.
Yeah.
But for a first offense, or at least first time getting caught doing it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's the word you got to use.
Yeah. But if first time getting caught, I think 3 years is just acceptable to me. I can't even I'm reading everybody's comments on it. I see what people are saying, and I understand where they're coming from.
Yeah.
But it's still 3 years is such a long time. And I think people are just kind of skipping over the fact that 3 years is that long.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's ever a time in my life where I've gone without playing Magic for 3 years, and I know he's not banned from playing Magic, period.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's no way to do that. But for a lot of competitive players and tournament players, playing tournament Magic is playing Magic to them.
Yeah, it's true.
It's not fun for them to go down to the local game shop and beat on kids with their ridiculous decks. It's not fun.
Yeah.
I have to imagine it's not fun anyways. I know that when I would go down with like my Brain Freeze deck, which is turn one kills most of the time.
Yeah.
Like I didn't have fun beating people that didn't know what I was doing. I had fun beating you because you appreciated what it was doing. I had fun beating Josh with it because he appreciated what it was doing.
Right.
I didn't have fun beating Alex with it. Well, sometimes I had fun beating Alex with it just because he complained so much. But when people would watch the deck and go, so I don't get to do anything,
yeah,
like that wasn't fun for me. I'm assuming that's the same thing when guys like that go down and get their crazy decks out, and people are just like, so what you're telling me is my deck isn't good at all?
Well, I mean, it's something to be said that when you start playing with pros and you start playing the pro circuit, you don't want to go and you won't learn anything from going and playing with people who are not as good as you are. Now, I'm not saying because Steven Speck is obviously like, let's say he cheated from day one. He still knew how to play Magic. He still had to know when to cheat. You know what I'm saying? So he still had to be a good enough player to get into the position where, okay, right now a cheat is the way that I would win. Like, you can't tell me that every single game that he's played, he's cheated his way to get to the Pro Tour. That's not possible. Like, there's no way he's done that. Someone would have noticed with or without a camera at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so, absolutely.
Because if he was that good, no one would have caught him at the Pro Tour. You know what I'm saying?
And God hands, even though they're God hands are beat.
Yeah.
Like, it happens. You plan this perfect hand, and a lot of the time, it's still not going to work for you.
Yeah.
You're gonna be ridiculous for the first 3 or 4 turns, but you're gonna draw a bunch of crap.
Yep.
And nothing's gonna work out, and you're still gonna get beat every once in a while. And every once in a while, your opponent's gonna draw a God hand that counters your God hand. Like, it's just, I mean, there's all sorts of aspects to it, and I don't think either of us are condoning cheating.
No.
Neither of us appreciates cheating.
Yeah.
Except for when it's Brian Luna doing it.
Okay. That's a completely
That's a
different
whole
story
different
with
thing.
that, and I think we need to get into that because people need to know this.
I mean, honestly, if you look at what he did, like it's kind of the same thing, really.
All right, sleight of hand, yes. Uh, on style points, way out of the ballpark.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So we have a buddy, Brian Luna, used to play Magic with us back in the day, and he was one of those guys who he would draw extra cards at the kitchen table when you weren't looking. You would reach down to get your soda, or everyone would be like looking at a card or whatever. He would just be sitting there all just completely quiet, just drawing 3 or 4 cards off the top, and he would always have his hands underneath the table. Never played with his hands above the table. And all of a sudden, someone would be like, "Brian, how many cards do you have in your hand?" He'd have 23 cards in his hand.
My favorite Brian Luna cheat was when he would adjust his hands so all his lands were in the same spot, and then when he played one land, he would actually put like 5 cards down.
Yeah.
So we'd be sitting there on like turn 6, and all of a sudden he'd be all, "Okay, so Verdant Force and Verdant Force and Verdant Force," and we'd be like, "Wait a minute, we're only on turn 6.
Oh,
How?
man.
What do you? Why do you have every land in your deck?" And he's like, "I don't know what you're talking about. Did you see me drop multiple lands in one turn?
Oh, man.
I think you guys just didn't play for a lot of the game."
Just to clarify with everyone, I think we were what? Were we like 17? And I mean, when we were 17, we're 30 now. Like, this was...
Yeah,
we were total tabletop kitchen like table players. Like, we were not serious at all.
Oh, no.
And we were serious to the point where we followed the rules at least, but still, you know, people would cheat and it'd be funny because it's just your buddies. Like,
Yeah.
It's not like no one's gonna get DQ'd from the DCI, you know. It's like, you know, we're not...
Brian Luna, lifetime ban.
Yeah, there's no money on the table. But seriously, I think my favorite one was when Jared, because Jared and him were like, they were always in cahoots to cheat us out because we were all serious about playing, and they would always just have fun with it. And I think Brian would go to draw extra cards or do something like just out of nowhere where the board state would just be some crazy epic thing, and your brother Jared would go up, put both of his hands in the air, and just start snapping.
No matter how many times he did it. No matter how many times he did it, we all looked at his hands every single time. I think the best part is if you watch Brian sometimes, like when you weren't in the game, like you could watch like the whole thing.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, Jared would start snapping, and everybody would look up his hands, including Brian, as he was drawing 10 cards. Just for consistency, he would look at it and just pick 10 cards up, put it in his hand, put it under the table.
Those were the golden days. But yeah, we definitely don't condone cheating. I would definitely say that Steven Speck, the 3-year ban, I don't see it being lifted or shortened at all. And I feel 3 years is fine. If he does end up coming back and being some guy that's just going to end up doing some Houdini-style tricks with his deck, then by all means, ban the guy for a lifetime ban. But not the first time. Hasbro, DCI, Wizards, they don't want to lose or set a precedent for no one ever getting a second chance. You know, they're a business. They need to make money. They need to sell product. If people are fearful of a single cheat, and then, you know, all it takes is someone saying, you premeditated that. Like, you knew you were going to do that. You know, that falls under this guidelines or whatever. You're banned for life.
Yeah, it's a really fine line.
People, yeah, they would lose a lot of people out of fear that, like, well, how do I know that I'm not just going to get scumbag ruled that way? You know, I mean, I'm not saying judges or the DCI are going to scumbag rule anyone. Like, if you're cheating, you're cheating. But when you set this precedence that there is a zero tolerance rule for desperation cheating, and people, you know, you're banned for life if you desperation cheat. People get desperate, dude. Like, that's just, I'm pretty sure that's what Felipe Valdivia did. But the thing is, actually, never mind. I don't know what I'm talking about. Felipe Valdivia was going to win that match. I don't even know
what he was thinking.
He didn't even need to cheat. He cheated because he wanted to get Narset's ultimate off. Like, I'm not even kidding. He cheated because he wanted to get Narset's ultimate off. He did it just so he would get extra turns out of it. And he even said on camera, he's like, no, don't scoop. I want to get her ultimate. And then they're like, okay, go. And then he said, okay, ultimate, yay, I got it, yay. Like a little kid
Oh.
at like local F&M, like, dude, what are you doing, man? Like, so, yeah,
That makes me wonder how much he was actually doing.
yeah, that's true. Because at the same time, you got to think like if he's kind of nobody like no pro player has that mentality. Like personally, I've never seen that on camera. Like someone kind of have that Timmy little moment that you would have at your local F&M, and that's exactly what how Felipe Valdivia acted. It makes you wonder like maybe he just thought he could return his Temple of Deceit. Like maybe he just didn't understand, then thought it was something he revealed and needed to put in his hand. I don't know. Like
Uh,
I don't know, man.
uh,
I'm not even gonna try and get into the heads of these guys. It's just yeah. So let's talk about the green-white assault formation deck that I recently posted on MTG Mind Games. What do you think about that deck?
I think I want to build that deck and play that deck.
Right?
For the price you built it for, like that's got to be one of the strongest decks at that cost. It just seems like so much fun to play, and it's
Yeah.
such a weird mechanic that it's being based around.
Yep.
That there's not. I mean, there's ways to answer it, obviously, because it's very creature based, but
Yeah.
a lot. Really, there's not ways to answer it.
No. Okay. So okay, going back to what you said, there's ways to answer it because it's creature based. Yes, like if someone's running a lot of Crux of Fate, a lot of Wrath effects, things like that, generally you need 5, 6 turns to get those things online. No one's playing, ramp into a Wrath. Like
Yeah.
no one's playing Elvish Mystic, Sylvan Caryatid, Wrath you turn 3. Like no one's doing that.
No one's expecting you to get a God Hand and kill them with a Lagana Band Trailblazer on
Right?
turn 3.
Exactly. So the deck that we're talking about, you guys, it's a budget green-white assault formation deck that I put together at a listener for MTG Mind Games because I make videos for them, obviously. A listener had requested assault formation for our budget tech for the week. Now, I had originally done a mono white life gain, and I was just doing some, tricky things with 1/1 counters with Anafenza, the Kintree Spirit. So I'm in that mode of, now I got my mindset on budget. What can I do for the cheapest, most craziest effects and things? And when they told me about assault formation, I looked at it and I was like, I wonder if there's, because I remembered Yoked Ox. I remember, I remember Marshall Sutcliffe from Limited Resources talking about, Yoked Ox and just people saying there's kind of like underlying thing that Yoked Ox is like the best card in the format. Well, in this deck, I think Yoked Ox is one of the best cards in the
Yeah.
deck. Assault Formation makes Yoked Ox and Laguna Band Trailblazers 4/4s, or will attack for 4 because they're 0/4s for 1 mana. So the God Hand is essentially a single white mana. You play Laguna Band Trailblazers, and then turn 2 you play your Assault Formation with a Forest, and then turn 3 you should have 2 Forests and 1 Plains in play, and you have already attacked on turn 2 with your Laguna Band Trailblazer for 4. Turn 3 you pump, Shape the Sands twice into your Laguna Band Trailblazer, attack them for 16 on turn 3. So if you're on the play and they're on the draw and they don't have a kill spell for a turn 2, they just lose the game because that's going to be 20 damage. I mean, yes, it's a God Hand, but the fact that the deck even has the ability to do that with commons and 1 rare, it's just crazy to me. So it's a really fun deck. We'll put a link to it in the description of this video, and it'll also be in the show notes if you're listening to this on MTG Cast. It's definitely cheap. It's only $60, and that includes 2 Dragonlord Jamokas and 2 Elspeths. So that's like almost $40 right there. So the rest of the deck is like $20.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's pretty interesting the different tech you can get when you really just stop looking at a bunch of rares and start looking for really interesting ways to win the game. One of our listeners, Tyler, likened it to like mono red decks, how they're a glass cannon, and this green white deck is like the green white budget version glass cannon. It's even more fragile because if you lose your assault formation, it's kind of GG. You're running nothing but 0 force.
They're just sitting there. Well, Well, can you attack me? Because I can block it.
Yeah.
I can block really well.
Yeah. So it's pretty interesting. I want to bring more deck techs to the channel, and I like talking about different decks and different options that people have. You know, I don't have any problem with people net decking and going out and getting ideas for decks, but I personally always like to build my decks from scratch. I like looking and reading a format and building a rogue deck and trying to make things customizable. That's what we all got into Magic for, because they're your cards. You play them the way you want to play them. It's like I definitely want to bring more rogue decks and deck builds to the limelight, because I've always been a rogue deck builder. So that, I'm sure, everyone's going to be seeing that, a lot more of that from me. And as far as, I mean, Evan, you don't really play standard. Um, but you do play EDH and Commander and Tiny Leader and things like that. So I know I want to do some deck techs on some of your decks coming up here in the future. So
Yeah, I'm definitely going to get into doing that as soon as I actually get out there and buy a webcam, which I have
yeah,
just not had the opportunity to do yet.
yeah, we record this podcast out of just our own equipment. It's not like we went out and bought any specialty equipment for this podcast. So if our quality isn't any up to par or anything, we will try and work on that. We will try and get better microphones and things like that. Evan, what are you recording on right now?
I'm recording on a $10 10-year-old lab tech microphone.
There you go.
It used to at one point, it had a little mount that sat on the side of my monitor when my monitor was CRT.
Nice.
And we used to play Counter-Strike.
Oh yeah, Counter
Like
Strike.
1.6. I'm not even talking source. This mic is from 1.6 days.
Dude, I used to have all the best skins on there. I love those skins. Like my hostage skins were like Britney Spears. Like it was random. Like I had like Predator skins for my
Oh
guys and
yeah.
just like alien skins for the other guys. Like, yeah. So I record on. I mean, I have an old mic that I used to use for my band. That's what I just hooked up today. But all of our previous episodes were a Plantronic headset that I had inherited from my job that had laid me off. So yay!
Woo!
Yeah, and my webcam too. That I actually record all of my content for MTG Mind Games. All of that content is recorded with equipment that I got from my job that had let me go. So it's just like, after I had been let go, I'm just like, well, what am I gonna do with all my time? I like doing magic stuff and looking for a job. So like, well, why don't I go ahead and start recording some stuff? Let people know what we already do. So
Yeah.
that's the result, or this is the result of all of that like thinking and all of that planning. So um, we're happy to be part of MTG Cast and all of that family and everything. So we definitely want to continue to bring more content to everybody. And I'm pretty sure, Evan, are you up to making guest appearances on other casts? Like I'm down. I don't know. Like,
Yeah, I'm fine with it as long as they understand that I'm a very casual player.
oh yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah,
You
yeah.
got to have those different points of views, though. Like
Yep.
that's kind of one of the things that I really like about our show specifically is that
Yeah.
you're so involved in like the competitive and the like aggressive trading and stuff, and
Oh
I'm
yeah.
just sitting over here like I got some cool cards. I'm gonna put them into sleeves and see if it works.
Right. Right. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of all different types of Magic the Gathering content in general. I listen to all different types of podcasts, anything from the A Team to, I started listening to MTG Cast back in the day when I worked in an office, so I had hours upon hours. I used to listen to every single cast. Now I don't have as much time now that I'm doing all this stuff, but
Yeah.
but yeah, it's been pretty interesting, the developments of the past few years as far as where my MTG or Magic the Gathering kind of career has gone. Um, it's become way more than a hobby for me nowadays. And if you know me personally, you obviously know that I'm the guy with the Black Lotus tattooed on his forearm. So um, it's kind of intimidating if you go to a card shop and you start trading with the guy that has the
Yeah.
Black Lotus tattooed on his forearm. So sometimes I tend to, put a card, like put one of those like Nike sleeves over my arm to kind of hide it. I don't want to intimidate anybody. That's not my intention. I love the game, and I just I, I was actually talking to a lady planeswalker at our LGS about like what drew her to the game. And we'll have a spotlight for the Lady Planeswalker Society coming up in a future episode. I really want to interview some of them and kind of ask them, kind of get their opinions and their points of view about how they feel about our LGS and things we can do to improve and things like that, and just try and get them involved a little more. But I asked her, the individual, her name was May, and I had asked her, hey, so, what kind of drew you to the game? And she said, is it wrong that I want to say that it was the art? And I kind of sympathize with her, because I think what she was thinking is maybe, is it wrong, like that it wasn't a competitive thing that drew her to the game, it was the art? And for me, do you remember what it was that drew me to the game? It was the art. So I was like, I had seen the art at Creers in the mall and saw them on like packs of Mirage. I saw like Marrow, the original art for Marrow back in the day. Mm-hmm. I'm just like, dude, that's a tree ant. That's some guy's face out of a tree. Like, I need to buy some of those packs. And then you were like, here's this portal set thing that we can play. It's like a pack thing. And it comes with 2 decks. And I was like, well, let's do this. Like, you got your Theraflu in a cup. Let's go do this down at the park. Like, I'm going to go skate. Yep, that was back in the day, man. So, yeah, so it's always been about the art for me, because I'm also an artist. So, Evan, what was it that drew you into Magic?
It's always been about the strategy for me, because I am the complete opposite. I'm not an artist. I like the art. Cards like Chroma and stuff that are like super detailed. I appreciate all the work that goes into them. I think they're really cool looking.
Yeah.
But for me, like, it's always been about the strategy. That's probably why I'm a blue player.
Yeah.
Because my brain, like, I look at my hands, and if it's just straightforward, like, I know, like, oh, well, this turn I'm going to be playing Llanowar Elf, and then next turn I'm going to be playing another Llanowar Elf and a Priest Titania, and then the turn after I'm going to overrun, and like, it's fun for me, but it's really straightforward. But when I first started playing, which was back in Revised and Mirage, mm-hmm. the guys that got me into it were my older brother Jared and his friend Tony Mungo. And they were like, well, Tony at least was like serious. He back then is what you are now.
Really?
Like that's how he was to me. Like, he would have been that guy where when I was a kid I'd walk into a card shop and I'd be like, hey, is that a Black Lotus tattooed on your arm? That's how I feel like that's how I remember Tony from when I was a kid.
Nice.
And I just remember playing against his decks and going, man, I want to be this good at a game at some point. And that's why not why I started, but why I like really got into it.
Yeah, because you saw the potential that someone was that good at the game that, like, obviously they had thought about it enough to get that good at the game, and so there was space there to grow, right? So.
Yeah, I think I probably got into it just because Jared was into it, and I was like, oh, my older brother plays this game. I should play this game too.
Yeah. Did he ever kick you down some cards, or like here's my extra chafe, go ahead and have this, or what?
No, we everything kind of stayed separate. But when I don't remember the name of the bookshop, but there used to be a bookshop over here, and for whatever reason, like, it carried Magic cards, and it was right down the street. We used to go to all the time, and every time we would go, I would just talk my mom into buying me a booster pack of Mirage or a starter pack of Revised or whatever. And she was super into it because it was something that wasn't just a video game.
Yeah.
She was like, "Oh, you're actually using your brain for something." At least that's how I look back on it. That's how I think about it. It's the same thing with Trenton. Like, if we're walking through Target or something and Trenton's like, "Oh, well, I really want this toy," I'm like, "Eh." But if he's like, "I really want some Magic cards," I'm like, "Okay, let's get you some cards."
I was gonna say, because I mean, yes, a toy will make you, use your imagination and things like that. Me, coming from the toy collector guy, like, I collect Star Wars toys and stuff like that. So it's like, I understand it creates this like huge imagination in a kid to have a toy and play with it and kind of embody like the strength that the toy has or something like that. There's a lot of different aspects to it, but with Magic cards, I feel the same way. Like with my kids, I don't have any kids yet, but I do want to have kids someday, and I've always said that, my my hobbies and things like that are about advancing your strategic thinking, your active learning thinking, your critical thinking, all these different types of facets about using your mind and using your imagination and your brain. And then it even carries over into finance, into taking care of something, caring for and valuing your property. So having some kind of ownership of something. So there's all of these different things that it teaches you as far as just the game itself goes, including obviously the social aspect and all the different benefits that you get from that and lifelong friendships that you end up getting. So there's all kinds of bonuses to having a game like this. And I mean, I'm sure obviously there's things like chess out there, checkers, in different cities. There's a lot of different gaming clubs that you can be part of. And I couldn't imagine ever not playing Magic. So I guess we're getting more on like a heart to heart now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I am so glad that I found this game. Like I couldn't imagine what I'd be doing nowadays. Like,
my thing about Magic versus other games, like other strategic games like chess,
yeah,
is, I mean, yes, you can play chess without like memorizing the quote unquote moves.
yeah,
But everybody that plays like super competitive chess, like you make a move and they're already like, oh, well, I know exactly which pattern you're using. Now I'm going to use this to counter it. So as soon as you start that counter, they're like, oh, well, now I have to use this counter. It's all like specific sets of moves until somebody forgets or doesn't notice what you're doing.
right, exactly.
Magic is completely random.
Yeah.
Every game is you're never going to play the same game of Magic twice. Nothing is ever going to be the same thing twice. If it is, you're playing Magic wrong.
Well, if it is, also, it's probably because you're cheating like Steven Speck.
Oh, man. Had to get that little jab in there,
Sick
did you?
burn.
I can't even follow that up.
I know. All right, so where can people find you, Evan?
Well, I actually have a legitimate Twitter account now. It's at MTG Evan, so don't worry about having to spell Commander any weird ways.
There you go. Nice.
I do still have the Instagram, but I don't really look at my Instagram, and it's just pictures of beer anyways.
Sure.
But at MTG Evan, you can find me there on Twitter.
Nice. Go follow the at MTG Mind Games. Go become part of the Facebook community. You can find me at MTG Scooter. That's MTG SKOOTER. On Instagram, we have at MTG Mind Games. You can also, if you'd like to support the podcast, you can go to tchip.com/wakethedead, where you can purchase a t-shirt, or, I mean, we got t-shirts, hoodies, coffee mugs, cell phone cases on there. T-Chip will take their portion out, and we get a pretty decent portion to support the podcast. All of that will go into, obviously, equipment and things like that. Just help us out, and at the same time, you guys get a T-shirt and or hoodie or whatever, and it's our logo as of MTG Mind Games Wake the Dead podcast. So go check that out and let your fellow Magic players know. Thank you guys for listening. So this has been episode 5, CheatyFace. All right, guys, keep it real, keep it magic.